All right. Hello. I'm Arvind. I'm really happy to be here. And I want to check who's live. Go ahead. Just type out in the chat box on the side about your name and designation. And we're going to be starting off in a couple of minutes, just 2 or 3 more minutes. We have 4 people live with us. You should be able to see a chat box on the side. Please go ahead, type it out while I very quickly wrap up some very interesting stuff that's coming up. Come on, don't be shy. Hi Khalid, happy to see you. Nice to have you here. Who are the others with us? Go on, if you've just come in, please type out your name and designation in the chat box. We're going to be starting off in roughly 4 minutes now. Hey Sid, hi Indrajit, nice to see you after so many years. My goodness, since Pixel Mavericks. Hi Pramod, nice to see you. Hi Ajit, it's great to see you guys. I'm just going to be waiting for about 4 more minutes and then we will be kicking this baby off. Okay, that sounded so bad, but it's true. Pramod, nice to see you. It's been a while since we spoke. I'm really happy that you're here today. So what have you guys been up to? And more importantly, don't worry that I'm looking off to this side because that's where I have the extra monitor. But I'm curious, how many of you actually went ahead and did the quiz? You know, the career risk level self-assessment? Go ahead and type it out. Tell me how many of you actually did that quiz and what you got. When I designed the assessment for myself, I ended up getting, believe it or not, yes, I got a medium at the beginning, right? When I was starting to do the initial bits, Pramod got a high. Okay, all right, not a problem. We can definitely work on that. Okay. What about you, Siddharth and Khalid and Indrajit? Did you guys get anything else? Did you also get high? The cool thing though is that I am working on a another index, something which is far more numerical in nature, right? Which is going to be talking all about the same thing, except that it's now going to be numerical. It's not just this thing. Okay, Siddharth got a low risk. I'm happy to hear that, buddy. I really am. And no, that's a good thing because you know it always tells you that no matter where you are, right, you do need to keep on improving whatever you're doing. So that's quite essential. Oh, Indrajit, you can go and do it right now. I think it's www.careerrisklevel.com. You can like literally do it off in like 2 minutes or something. It's quite a eye opener, you know, like what Siddharth was saying. You do get a bunch of insights, and at the end of it, you are also getting a bunch of personalized recommendations. and that's pretty valuable. That is valuable. Yeah, yeah. So Siddharth, I'm curious, and so for Pramod as well, right? Did you guys go ahead and start implementing any of the personalized recommendations? I've been. So one of the coolest things, right, about this whole thing is that these are all things that I personally implement for myself. These are all things that I do, right? Everything that are there as a part of the recommendations are all from my own experience. So these are all things that I do pretty much every single day almost, except for some of those weekly pesky tasks. You know what they are. So that does happen. Also, where in the world are you guys all tuning in from? That's another interesting question that I wanted to know the answers for. It's always I know for a fact that Siddharth is tuning in from Malaysia. I'm just going to type out the URL because Indrajit is asking. There we go. I think we have that. Okay, reading up on Farnham Street. That's nice. Farnham Street's a very, very powerful blog, and I've always wanted to read his book, but sometimes, it just gets a tad bit overwhelming. So Siddharth's from Kuala Lumpur. Indrajit, are you here in India or are you in the US of A? And Pramod, I think you are here in India itself. What about the rest of you? I see that there are 9 people with us right now. I'm really happy about that. Go on, tell me, where are you from? What is your name and what is your designation? You would see a chat box. Don't worry, I am going to be looking at you. I'm just setting up something here so that it just works out absolutely fine. We are going to be starting in roughly 2 minutes once we have some more people coming in. But trust me, this is going to be absolutely worth your time. And I don't say this lightly, like one bit. Okay, Pramod's from Bangalore. Khalid, where are you based out of? One of my friends, Anil, he's supposed to be tuning in if he can. He's going to be coming in from, I think he's going to be coming in from Germany. Hi, honey. You are from Gurugram. That's way up north. Awesome. Oh, interesting. What does a valuation analyst do? That's something that I haven't heard in a very, very long time. Ajit, content management. That's very nice. Okay. Which companies do you guys work in? I know where Ajit works, so that's why I'm asking. I really like the place that he works. He's got like the most amazing office ever. We're almost there, guys. Just 2 more minutes. I'm just getting some messages that people are still coming in. And once we start, trust me, this train is not going to stop for pretty much anything unless it's like pure awesomeness. So that's definitely there. We have 10 people watching us. That is a very, very good thing. I am really, really happy that you guys have been able to take some time out and join us at this time. And again, like during this entire time, if you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and type it out in the chat box. All right, so okay, so we're getting some independent stuff. Oh, interesting stuff. Sorry, I confused what Siddharth was typing. Honey says that he's into mergers and acquisitions, value companies, and real estate deals. How much is worth a deal to our client? Interesting, interesting. What kind of a process do you guys have, Honey? Is it like just you have to like look at some data and make that decision, or is it like you need to have that experience and then you're going to be basing it on that? I'm curious to know. If you guys are seeing that there's a small delay between what you guys are putting on the chat box and what's actually popping up, don't worry. That's because there is a 10-second delay between what you are seeing, like on the video feed, and what's actually coming up, and like on the chat. Like the chat comes up much faster, I think. Right, so I think that's why it's going to be important. Okay, we are almost done. Bada bing, bada boom. Everybody's gone off for their bio breaks and whatnot. Is everybody ready to go? I want like a big yes, like an all caps yes from everybody out there. Yeah? If you guys are ready, go ahead, just type out in the chat box a big yes, and we will start. Come on, guys. Yes? Awesome, Mundo. All right, I am now going to start sharing my screen. And we're going to figure out how to go about doing this. Can you guys see my screen right now? Awesome. All right. Okay, I've got just a moment. All right, can you guys all see the screen? If so, just go ahead and type out a big, give me like a thumbs up if you can, It would really help me understand whatever it is that you guys are typing. I am just going to make sure that everything is hunky-dory. So we got that. Oops. Yikes, guys, I'm terribly sorry. Okay. Okay, so we have Aniket as well. Thumbs up. All right. Let's get going, shall we? First of all, thank you very much for coming in, and I'm really happy that you guys are all here. And if I seem to be a little bit flustered, I do apologize. It's my first time with a Mac, especially a new Mac, considering the fact that my old one kind of like just died down. I'm really happy that 10 of you are here, and I promise the next about 90 minutes or so are going to be like really awesome. And at any given point of time, I want you to take the time to type out your questions and all that. I have a chat window open right in front of me. I also have my screen off on one side, and let's begin. before we begin, I'm just curious, how did you guys actually find out about me? I know some of you know me through Toastmasters, and of course, some of you because we met at work and in other places. But I'm curious, just go ahead and type out, how did you hear about this particular webinar? How do you know me? And it would be like, really, really helpful so that, I can definitely point out, hey, you remember when we did something like this? So just go ahead, keep on typing. Command space is definitely my friend, Aniket. All right, so I wanted to start off by telling you like why we're actually here, okay? And the main reason is, as you know, the topic of this webinar is how do you actually eliminate career risk with Epic Transformations. Career risk is a pretty big problem, and unfortunately, the reason it's been so big is, well, honestly, it's not your fault. Okay, that's kind of what I always wanted to say, and that's something I always believe because of the way that we've been brought up from our childhood, right? And the way we've been trained to think about work. Everything that we've been doing has been contributing to the growth of our career risk. And later on in this session, I'll be talking to you about career risk and all that. But I want you to understand that right now, if you, like, for example, Pramod got a high and Siddharth got a low and others have got a medium. And as of yesterday, about 100 people have taken that quiz. And I think about 18% have got like low risk. Okay. What that means is that, what's 100 minus 18? I'm guessing that's about 72? 82% of the people who have taken that quiz, right? And I'm going to say it's kind of demonstrative of the entire audience. They've got either medium or high risk when it comes to their career risk levels. But I want to tell you it's not your fault, simply because the reason that you've ended up in this place is simply because you've been doing the same thing as everyone else, right? And whether it's in school or in college, we've not been taught anything that's going to help us kind of like manage any of these things, right? Like nobody ever told us like, hey, this is what we need to fix and whatnot. Nobody ever taught us how to do this. And you know what? It's not your fault. Okay. Now that's the bad news. The good news is that you can absolutely do this, right? Even though you might be in a bad place right now with a high risk or a medium risk or even a low risk, right? You need to understand that before this webinar is done, I'm going to give you everything you need to break free. And I know, I've taken some of the dumbest people I know. Okay, so like, and I've spoken to them like, why are you doing this, right? And then they all repeat the same thing that they've been told the whole time. That, like, hey, everybody told me I should be doing this. I should be doing this. Well, I'm telling you what, that those things, the general piece of good advice that you find on the internet, unfortunately, it's all a lie, right? If you think about it, you've been conditioned this way. I know this because I was a part of this system, like until like about 2010, 11, 12? Yeah, I think it was about 2012, right? I was in this trap. I had started working in like 2006, and I was thinking the same way how everybody else was telling me how to think, right? And I've been like throughout my childhood, throughout my college, throughout my early years of working, I've been told what to think and how to think and what to do and how to do it, right? I was being groomed to become a robot. Now, there were these little pockets where I would have some control. There would be these little pockets where I could change one thing, two things, three things, whatever. I would have a little bit of leniency, but I was still ending up doing the same thing again and again and again. And unfortunately, everybody who groomed me like that, the same people, your well-wishers, your managers, your bosses, your colleagues, the internet that you're subscribing to, everyone who's telling you this is unfortunately a part of the problem, right? And this whole thing, right, becomes very, very apparent when you stop to think like, why is this so hard, right? I mean, I don't know if it's going to be good news or bad news for you, but the fact remains that there are people who have like tremendous amounts of success, right? I mean, right now, if I want you to think of like 2 or 3 successful people in your in your circle, right? Can you just type out success if you know that, right? If you know at least 1 or 2 people who are irrationally successful, they could be friends of friends, family or something. Type out yes, or type out success in the chat box, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. You see, these are the kind of people whom we think of as rock stars, right? The kind of people that you'd more probably look at, searching for on Wikipedia as opposed to Google, right? It's not like they're tremendously good looking or super lucky, or like me, they have like great hair or something. But there is one fundamental difference, and that comes in the way they're thinking, right? And I'm guaranteeing it. Okay, whatever is their way of thinking, I'm going to get you that. Before this session is done, I'm going to help each and every one of you in this session learn how to think in that way. I'm going to give you all the tools that you need to start thinking in that way. Are you guys ready? If so, type out ready in the chat box, because in the next slide, I want to share a very, very important dream that I have. It's very straightforward, right? I have been on this other side. I have been this person where, who had to struggle and who was stuck, get up in the morning, do this, just go back to office, just type, come back home, watch TV, sleep. I want each and every one of us, okay, to be able to achieve our wildest dreams. I want us to have the kind of success that we keep on imagining about, the kind of daydreaming that we do, right? I want us to have all the direction, the clarity, the tools, the network, the support, the environment to do whatever we set our heart on. Okay. And I know this because I've already started my journey and I've had some success with it. And I know that this is possible. In fact, believe it or not, and I've shared this with many members of the Epic Career Labs community, I made it my mission to liberate 1 million millennials from an unsatisfying career. Okay. It's not a small task. 1 million is like 1 followed by 6 zeros. And I want to set free 1 million people, 1 million people just like you. And I'm confident that I can do that. And I'm very, very confident that the people who are there with us today, you, everybody else who's also there in this session, you will be one of them. Okay? So don't worry about it. My goal for this presentation is very, very simple. Okay? And as you can see on screen, it's very simple. I want to help millennials like you reduce your career risk levels using epic transformations, right? And it's not only that. It's not only that. That's definitely the high level goal, right? I definitely want to help you reduce your career risk level. But beyond that, I want you to understand that this concept of epic transformations, something that I've created, is the only way that you can actually reduce, rather you can eliminate career risk. Okay, and you learn that only through Epic Career Labs. If you wish to eliminate your career risk, you need these epic transformations, and the only place you're going to be getting them is with me. I'll be honest, like the kind of stuff that, I've been saying before, like when we get that advice from our parents, our family, our friends, and all of that, it's not necessarily well-meaning, right? I mean, they are well-meaning, but it's not good for us, right? And the kind of advice that we get from them actually holds us back. And I'm going to be sharing all of that as a part of this journey that we have. A little bit about me. I want you to understand why I'm talking about all of this, right? I think one of the most important / biggest achievements of my life is the fact that I went from being absolutely stone broke, from a state where I had to borrow money from my wife, who was a student at that time, to go visit her, right? From there to becoming the head of marketing, okay? And I did this in like a journey that's normally supposed to take like about 25, 30 years. I finished that in 7 years, right? I did stuff in 1/5 of the time. And I am not that special. I'm not that different. It's just that I made, there's that line in, I think the movie is called Baghi, okay, in Hindi. It says, it goes something along the lines of, your workout is my warm-up, right? Although I am in no way qualified to talk about physical exercise, what I can talk about is the number of mistakes, right? I have probably made more mistakes in life in terms of career and all of that than the number of attempts that most of you have probably made, okay? And there's like a lot of external recognition, validation for this as well. Like I've been named as India's top experienced hackers in India by Oracle. I've had many different careers. I've been a developer in IT. I've been a back-end developer, front-end developer. I've done voice acting. I've done content creation, marketing, innovation, consulting, storytelling. Look, I've done like a ton of stuff, right? And I have actually managed to change from one career to another, to another, to another, including, believe it or not, door-to-door sales of Apple laptops. Okay, been there, done that. And the biggest thing I've noticed, right, in my journey from where I was to where I am today, is this thing. Like in the beginning, my dad always said that I would be like a headless chicken, right? Like there's a very, very gruesome thing. But how many of you are non-vegetarian? Just type out NV or non-veg in the comments, right? I'm a pure vegetarian, yet my dad would call me a headless chicken. What that means is I would get stressed. I would get paranoid, and what would happen is that I would just run from pillar to post, just like like literally like a headless chicken. Like I can't see where I'm going. Like bah, 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 bah. I'm just running around from place to place, right? I was like that. I was paranoid. I was hopeless, and from there, I've now transformed into this supremely confident, calm, very, how do I say this? Highly paid consultant. I don't think there's a better way I can put that. I do speaking, training, and the best thing, I'm actually building out Libido. Now, before you think it's something naughty, it's my short form for location independent business that I'm doing, LIBIDO, right? I've built out my dream, and I'm actually like on my way to living it. I'm like about like 30% of the way there, right? I'm going to be going there as well. And that transformation from being like an absolute headless chicken to somebody who's calm and confident, right? That's one of the biggest benefits that I've got because of these things. Now, of course, when I started doing these, I didn't know they were called epic transformations, right? It's over time and looking back and connecting the dots. It's something that I'll be sharing with you. That's when I figured it out. And of course, the other very, very strong, deep transformation that happened to me was that I changed from being a fighter to a warrior. And the difference is something like this, right? The difference is that a fighter always has something to prove, right? A fighter's like, yeah, I want to win that title. I want to be known as the best. I want to be the undisputed champion. Whereas for a warrior, the opponent is not the enemy, right? And they're always ready to fight. But when they're fighting, it's not to defeat the other person, right? The opponent is not the enemy, but the opponent becomes the teacher, right? And every obstacle I face is not an obstacle that I have to defeat, but it's something that I can learn from. And once I have this mindset, like anything that ever comes up becomes, well, just another opportunity to learn. And I'm learning every single day. Trust me on that. I want to now talk a little bit about how I actually got started. And big question: who knows which movie this is from? Go ahead, type it out in the chat box. I'm going to wait for about 10 seconds while you guys type it out. It's my most favorite movie of all time. And it has a lot of relevance to what we're going to be learning today. Who knows the name of this movie? Go ahead, type it out. I'm looking at the screen. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. The first person to type it out will actually get some bonus points from me. Seriously, guys? Nobody knows the meaning of this? Kung Fu Panda! Thank you, Natarajan. Winner, chicken dinner. We do have a dinner. It is from Kung Fu Panda. How many of you have actually watched this movie? If not, this next bit is going to be like super duper awesome. Okay? Now, here's the thing. It was, like I said earlier, I started working in 2006, right? And from there, I've led, like I said, numerous different careers. I started off in IT, and due to a weird twist in circumstance and fate and luck, I ended up in advertising. Now, I was quite happy, right? I was quite happy, but believe it or not, on 3rd of July was when I'd actually started working. So I just finished, 14 years of working yesterday. Right, 14 years of being an experienced professional. And what happened was, this was about 2012, I think. What happened was I was speaking to these two people, like Archana and Arun. They were my friends from back in the college, like they were in college with me, of course. And then we all started working in this company called Tesco HSE. We all started working together on the 3rd of July, 2006. And, of course, over time, you just want to call back and check in with friends and all that. And I checked in with them, and you know what I heard? I was working in advertising. I had a Royal Enfield. I had a lovely wife, and I was very satisfied with where I was in life, right? I was probably taking home like about 35K per month. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm living the dream, right? And then I speak to these guys. They're telling me that, one is going off to Venice on a holiday. The other one's buying off a car. A third one, Meghna, I remember, she was building off her own house. And I was like, what? Like, we both had started off at the same time. All of us had started off at the same day, in the same job. But these people, they were suddenly like way ahead of me. They were like richer. They were living the kind of life that I wanted to live, and I was like, this is not cool. This is not cool at all. Like I suddenly I wanted more. I knew that I had more potential, but I was just being a lazy bum, right? So I went ahead and I started trying to I was like suddenly like very, very motivated. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm going to be doing this. So I started putting in the effort. I started watching stuff on YouTube. I bought a course or two, started reading some books, and that went well. That went really well. For the next I think week or so, I was suddenly getting up at like 4 a.m. I was getting up, studying, exercising, and then cooking breakfast, taking stuff home, and taking stuff to the office. All of that, right? It worked really, really well for like about like 10 days or something. And then the whole thing, it just crashed. I crashed. And I really, really wish that I had stopped where I was, but I didn't, right? So I was at my base level and I was suddenly motivated to go here. And then after like about a week and 10 days, because I couldn't keep it up anymore, right? Boom, I crashed. I went below where I was before, right? And I went into a bad place. And what I mean by a bad place is like really like hardcore depression, right? I would be binge watching. I would spend pretty much all waking time, including time at work, right? Reading books and playing games and video games, of course, and of course binge watching movies and all that. And it slowly started to go from bad to worse to even worser, if that's the thing, right? It became so bad that I wouldn't even like talk to my wife, and if she would tell me anything, I would like snap back at her, and I would be awake at all sorts of weird times of the night trying to do different stuff. But suddenly, I still think I think I remember I think it was like late evening or early, like around like 9:30 at night. I was watching this movie, Kung Fu Panda, for the first time, and everything just suddenly changed because of the way this character is actually portrayed. Right, it's played by Jack Black, but it's like a big cuddly guy who's who believes that he has potential, but nobody actually trusts him. Like throughout the movie, Po, right, this big fat panda, he's destined to be the dragon warrior, but he himself, right, he doesn't believe it. And as a result, what he keeps on doing is he just keeps on bumbling, right? He just tries to satisfy his teacher, try to get accepted by his friends, and learn kung fu. He's just trying to be awesome, right? But that just didn't work. And later on, right, once he's actually mastered his own training and all that, he gets that dragon scroll, right? He gets that special scroll, the thing that he's holding in his hands. And when he opens it, he doesn't get it. His master Shifu doesn't get it. And the problem was he doesn't understand, he doesn't believe that he himself is the dragon warrior, right? And as a result, he just like gives up hope when he tries to go back home, right? Tries to go back to what was normal before, but he was unhappy there. But when he gets there, he meets his dad, and his dad tells him that, hey, you know what? The secret of the secret ingredient soup is nothing. People love it because they think there's something special. And that's when, boom, it clicked for Po. That's when it clicked for me as well, right? So as soon as he gets that knowledge, right, Po suddenly believes that he's the dragon warrior, and that's all he needs, right? And once he gets that knowledge, he's like, oh yeah, and then he just goes ahead and starts to kick ass. And I thought like, dude, that is absolutely amazing. And the thing that stood out for me the most, I mean, apart from me thinking of myself as the big fat panda, is the fact that the way how Po changed, right? When he saw himself as the dragon warrior, when he started to believe that he was the dragon warrior, he was set free, and he became capable of greatness. And once I noticed that, blink, a light bulb went on, and that just completely changed something like in me forever, right? I started seeing this sort of a transformation everywhere, right? I mean, like, how many of you have seen The Matrix? Or how many of you have seen Iron Man or Dark Knight Rises? Just type out the names of the movies, like any of those three that you've seen. Type it out in the chat box, because I saw this thing, this sort of a transformation that Po had. I saw it in myself, like I saw it by myself in all of these movies. In The Matrix, I saw it when Thomas Anderson, Keanu Reeves, he accepts himself to be Neo. I saw it in at the end of the first Iron Man movie, right? Where Robert Downey Jr., he's sitting down, he's got that burger, and he just says like, yeah, I'm Iron Man. He accepts that responsibility. And even in when this guy, what's his name? Christian Bale, right? When he's playing Batman, and he saves Gotham in The Dark Knight Rises, right? How does he? I mean, he just like takes that thing and he just drives off into the sunset, right? So you see this. What's happening in each of these situations is that each one of these characters, it could be Tony Stark in Iron Man, Poe in Kung Fu Panda, Neo in The Matrix, or even Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. It's important to realize that in each of these situations, they accepted their new identity. And only when they accepted this were they able to move forward in life, right? Whatever life had in store, right? That's when they were able to move forward. And once I got that, it struck me too that I too had to accept my new identity. All this time, I was like struggling with improvement. I was struggling with motivation, right? I was struggling to cram in as many courses and workouts and all of that in my life, but my inner identity, it didn't match that. So it wasn't like exactly working out. So I realized that improvement doesn't work, and I had to fundamentally change who I was as a person. I had to change who I saw myself as, and I had to leave behind my old self. I had to move forward and survive in the new world that I wanted to be a part of, right? And with this Jnanodaya, this awakened state, right? I started planning how my life could be. Of course, building a plan is one thing and executing it is absolutely another. And what I realized was I built this plan, and over the years, mind you, I'm, like I said, my warm up is like your workout, right? So I've made so many mistakes. I had so many iterations, so many experiments, so much of frustration. I managed to claw my way up, right? Like literally, I had to fight for it. I had to claw my way up from a lowly paid copywriter to CMO of India's best analytics training company. And now, for like the past year and a quarter, I've been running my own successful consulting and coaching company, right? Now, this journey, like I said, it started in 2011. It's been about 9 years. And in these 9 years, I've picked up a thing or two. And in this session, in the next hour or so, I want to share 3 secrets with you. Are you guys ready? Then type out ready in the chat box. I'm just going to grab a cup of water. Who wants to see the 3 secrets? Type out ready. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Come on, guys. 3 secrets. All right, I'm going to move forward anyway. This is it. These are the 3 things that I'm going to be chatting and sharing with you today. First, what is your career risk level? And what do you need to do to ensure that you're not increasing your career risk level by mistake? That's number 1. Number 2 is how to reduce your career risk level on autopilot without relying on willpower. And finally, why is now the best time to invest in yourself and reduce your career risk level using epic transformations? Yes? Let's move on. First thing I want to say, right? Don't panic, okay? Whatever you have got as a result of your career risk level assessment, that's okay, because you're going to be getting everything that you need to bring that down as a part of this session, okay? So don't panic about it at all. We will be definitely able to get you all of this, because sometimes, usually when I'm talking to people about this, they say like, I don't know if I can do it. Well, I really want to give you some proof, right? These are just 3 people who are part of my community. These are 3 people I have mentored in one way or the other, and they all have been able to achieve some sort of success, right? Some of them have been able to change their entire careers. Others have been able to look at themselves in a whole new light. And the third guy, Abhirath, he's in college and he's going to be setting himself up for a wonderful future. So it doesn't matter what's your background. All I'm asking for is dedication. And I'm sure that you can deliver on that as well. Let's start. Secret number 1. What is your career risk level? And what is it that you need to do to make sure that you're not increasing it by mistake? Okay, Like I said in the beginning, right? 18% of the people who took this assessment that I built got a low risk. That means 82% have either medium or high risk in terms of their careers, right? Now, look at the way that we're actually going into, right? Like the way our professional life is changing. In the past 3 months itself, right? Since we have the coronavirus, since we have automation, well, since we have robots, since we have robotic process automation, there are a lot of technological as well as societal changes that are happening, right? The world as we know it has changed, right? We are now more and more, we are entering a world that is increasingly volatile. What that means is this world is changing, like really, really fast, right? What is there today as a stable thing is no longer there tomorrow. Like just today, I saw on Reddit, before this session itself, there is now a robot that can like flip burgers and can make burgers, like the kind of burgers you would see in Burger King. In India, we have so many McDonald's outlets and Burger King outlets and whatnot. And now robots can do that, right? And robots don't need a break. They can work faster than a human. And it's insane. And they'll be working for a fraction of the cost, right? So the world that we're working in is volatile in the sense that it's changing very, very fast. It's also uncertain. What we think is going to happen like 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, itself like a big, big question mark. When you look at the news, when you read the papers, when you see all the technological changes that are happening, we don't even know how like next week is going to be, let alone next quarter or next year or the next decade. And for us to live a life like that is a very, very dangerous thing to do, because what we thought was going to be very, very stable is no longer there. TikTok, for example, right? TikTok has like I think was making about $6 billion from India. Okay, that's billion with a B. That's 6 followed by 9 zeros in US dollars. And overnight, boom, they're gone. Now suddenly TikTok as a big company is losing out on $6 billion. You as an individual, how could things change for you? I'll give you some more examples. My wife used to work in a travel aggregator company, right? And everything was going fine until about a year ago or so. And what happened then was Google, right? They started entering into the travel aggregator space. All the airlines, and what that means, think of it as a site like, from where you could go online, buy your tickets and stuff like that, right? Now, suddenly Google got into that space. And what happens? Well, if Google gets into that space, all the flights like Indigo and Jet and all of those guys, they went in to work directly with Google, and as a result all these middlemen, they got cut out and they got into a big problem. And now coronavirus happened, flights were banned, prices of it became unaffordable for companies, for airline companies to continue their flights, right? So suddenly it's no longer the future is no longer certain for them. Many of them have had to shut down. That's what I'm trying to say. The future is uncertain. It can happen to us as well. Apart from this, the complexity. Every day there are so many new things that are coming into the picture. So many things that we have to keep a track of, right? And if we don't factor these things, it's going to be a big problem for us, because suddenly we're caught on the back foot when we don't have an answer for this, or why haven't we considered something like this, right? When we don't have that, it's no longer going to be working. Another example, Indian companies, right? Especially like the IT companies, they were caught on the back foot, right? Because they didn't think of all the complexities that will be involved in getting people to work from home. If you think about it, it's not the same thing, right? Because suddenly people are working from home and, they might not have the right kind of bandwidth, and suddenly data security becomes an issue, network security becomes an issue. There are so many moving parts, so many complications that everybody has to keep track of. And finally, the future is also ambiguous, right? Right now, where we stand at 2:43 on the 4th of July, 2020, when we are looking into the future, what happens? We don't know, right? And it's very confusing because we don't have a definite answer that, yes, this is what is going to happen. We don't have that. And when we have these sort of a situation, right? When we have things like robotics and we have like future technology, we have environmental concern, we have geopolitical issues, all of these things comes in. Like we are like literally like it's like a boiling pot, right? Everything's just boiling. We have no idea when this thing is going to blow, right? And it's impossible for us to plan what is it that we're going to be doing for this, right? How do we respond to this? So my recommendation is that we don't plan for something that this is how we're going to respond, right? We don't think of this as a fighter. We don't say that, okay, if this comes, I'm going to beat this and I'm going to win this. No. We want to start thinking like a warrior. We want to be prepared for anything and everything that pops up. You see what I mean? You see the difference? So suddenly, we're no longer thinking about just what is going to be coming up. We want to be ready for anything that comes up. And when we can reach that, right, our level of readiness to handle whatever the future throws at us, our level of resilience, if you want to call it, our level of anti-fragility, as Nicholas Taleb would put it, right? How prepared are we to face the future? That is exactly what your career risk level means. If you have a high career risk level, that means that you're not very prepared for the future. If it's medium, you're probably there. If it's low, don't think that you're absolutely scot-free. In fact, you might be facing some very different challenges, as I will point out later. But if you want to think about why are we in this situation, right? You need to understand the lie of improvement that we've been fed ever since we were kids. When we were in school, when we were in college, what everybody's been saying is like, hey, you know what? You have to try harder. Sit and study for more and more time. That's how you put in more and more effort, right? Hard work will solve everything. Talent is not enough, right? You need to put that consistency and that commitment. You need to practice, practice, practice. That is the lie of improvement. That doesn't work, right? Even if you do put in like 10,000 hours of practice, like what Malcolm Gladwell said in Outliers, that is not enough, because if you're focusing on improvement, you are believing a lie, and I don't want you to do that. What I want you to understand is that practice and improvement is like taking a foundation that's cracked, that's got like deep cracks within it, something that is not stable, and you're trying to hammer and hammer and hammer and build and build and build on top of this to get the results you want. But if your foundation is faulty, it's like building a sandcastle. There's only a limit to how far you can go, right? You will hit what's known as a local maxima. You will hit a cap, a glass ceiling that you cannot break through. And that's when you're truly and utterly in deep, deep trouble. That is the lie of improvement. But what if we look at this a different way? What if we did not just work with this broken foundation? What if instead we took out this foundation and we put in a brand new foundation that works? Think of it, I'm guessing probably something like a root canal, right? You have a cavity and you keep on just, covering it and covering it and covering it. Eventually, you are going to need a root canal. That's a very, very horribly painful procedure, right? You don't want to go through that, but that's pretty much what you're going to be ending up doing if you're focusing on improvement. Luckily for you, this is what you need to do. This is known as the Epic Transformation Map, and this is something that I have created. Like how Kung Fu Panda, right? In the movie Kung Fu Panda, or in The Matrix, or in Harry Potter, or in Ramayana, or in Mahabharata, or in Harry Potter, in many, many, many myths along the world, you will see that the hero, right, starts off in a certain place, usually has some problems, something is wrong with their world. They'll meet a mentor. That mentor will take them on this adventure, and on this adventure they will meet many new friends, meet monsters, solve problems. They will essentially grow as a person. They'll meet that big bad boss, they'll defeat them, then they'll come back to where they were, and suddenly they're all changed, right? Now that structure, although I did paraphrase it right now, that structure is known as the monomyth. And a gentleman named Joseph Campbell, he actually studied a number of myths across many different cultures, and he said, hey, this is how people are changing, right? This is how stories are written. This is the deep structure of any story. And you can see that there are many, many stories across Greek myths, Indian myths, African myths. These stories stay mostly the same. The characters change, the flavor is different, but the process, the system is the same. He proposed something known as the monomyth. When I was going through Kung Fu Panda, when I was playing my video games like Diablo 3, when I was reading my fantasy novels, right, I noticed this pattern emerge. I didn't know what it was, but one day when I discovered the monomyth, I saw like, oh shoot, that makes so much of sense. And I took the kind of work that Joseph Campbell had done and I adapted it for a professional context, right? And that's what you see as the epic transformation map. This map contains 16 stages, each stage represented by one icon. And there are 4 phases, as you can see. The first is the exist phase, the second is the progress, the third is the ignite, and the fourth is the champion. When you are starting off in your career journey, when you wish to make a change to yourself, do not go for self-improvement. That is a lie. What you need to do is to go for transformations. And that's what this is going to be all about, right? You start off in a broken world. That's what you see in the first icon as the hut. And then you have a call to adventure that exists. You refuse the call because that's what we tend to do, because we like where we are. We don't like change. And as a result, we end up having a little bit of internal conflict. After that, you meet a mentor. In most cases, it'll be somebody who has already gone on this journey that you want to go on. In our case, it's somebody who's already had the career success. Me, right? That person will give you a map. Well, in this case, it's a literal map that commences this adventure, right? And along this journey, you will meet many friends. You will make new friends, new allies. You will meet new monsters and old, and you will go on missions and quests so that you level up. And as a part of this, when you go through the grind again and again and again, you will become a much stronger person. Once you're strong enough, what happens is you meet many mini bosses, right? You go ahead and you fight them, you defeat them, essentially sealing your victory in each one of those. Then finally, you meet that big boss. Maybe you're able to beat them in the first time, maybe you're not. So you go ahead, level up again, and then you come back, you fight this big boss, then you defeat them. Of course, you get a ton of loot. This loot, though, it comes in 2 flavors. One is this actual physical loot, right? Like it could be like a salary hike, it could be like a promotion, it could be like a certification, whatever. But the real benefit, okay, and this is perhaps the most important thing, the real loot that you get is the loot that's there internal. The loot that is there inside you. The loot that tells you that, hey, you have changed as a person. You have a new way to look at the world. Your identity completely changes. And from there, when you try to come back and apply this new identity back in your existing life, you will face some changes. I'm not denying that. But once you do accept it, and once you make it the new normal, you are now ready for pretty much anything that you have to do with this new identity. And of course, you don't stop there. That's why the last stage is insert coin to continue. With my love for video games, you're going to put in another coin, go back to the beginning, and start your next transformation journey as well. Of course, I'm going to be teaching you how to learn this more a little bit later. So when you see this, right, you guys, can you see the difference? Can you see the difference? With improvement, right, you're just trying to build on a faulty foundation. Whereas in epic transformations, you're focusing on your identity and not that faulty foundation. Are you guys with me? Go ahead and type out identity in the chat box before we move ahead. Whoa. And with that, I'm going to be moving on to the next secret. How to reduce your career risk level on autopilot without relying on willpower. This is very, very important. Like I said, when I started off, right, I had a lot of enthusiasm. You can also probably see this, right? When you're starting off a new hobby, when you're starting off something new, what happens is that you're very, very excited. You want to do something, right? You're like, yes, you're fully gung-ho. You go buy the clothes. You can see this, especially when you go to the gym, right? You go buy the new clothes, the new shoes, new shoes, not shows. And, you buy the gear, you buy that 1-year membership, you're all set, and you go for like about 3 days, 4 days. Then you're like, you know what? I'm not feeling like it today. And You don't go, you skip for a day, that becomes 2 days, that becomes a week. Eventually, that just stops. I know this because I've done that. And I must confess, I have absolutely no way of sustaining motivation on anything for that long. In fact, I crave variety, right? But yet, I have a way that works for me that can also work for you. That is, how do we do stuff without relying on willpower? Right. The answer lies in this particular phase, the progress phase of epic transformations, right? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be unpacking each one of these. Like I said before, the mentor is somebody who's done it before. So this is someone who already knows what you're doing, right? Because they have done it before. That's number one. Next thing is you need a map, right? Which is going to tell you exactly what you need to do and where you need to go. And finally, you need this environment, right? With all the quests, all the allies, and all the monsters. And then finally, you need the process, which is the grind, right? How is it that you're going to be leveling up? When you put all of these four things together, what happens is you suddenly realize that you have someone who can help you. You know what to do. You're surrounded by people who are also on the same journey as you, and you have the exact process that you need to follow. When you put this together, right, what happens is now you're actively designing your environment. You're not relying on motivation. You're not relying on willpower, because both of those things, they fade after a while. But what you're doing instead is you're setting up a system that actually works for you, right? When you know how to set up this sort of a system, and you know how to use it to get the results you want, you become practically unstoppable. You see, the problem with motivation, right? It's like it's like good how do I say, good hygiene, right? Like if you don't take bath for a couple of days, what happens? Well, you start to stink, and if you continue much longer, and I don't recommend it one bit, you tend to essentially develop like diseases and infections and shit like that. You don't want that. That's what motivation is, right? Like motivation is like taking a bath. It's there in the beginning, right? You're still fresh right out of the bath. You're like the freshest thing possible. But after that, right, as the day goes on, that freshness kind of fades away, right? So that's why you want to set up a system where you're taking a bath every single day. You're not relying on motivation, but you set up that, hey, you know what? I am going to be taking a bath every single day. That's kind of what you want to do, because if you want to reduce your career risk level in a dependable way, you need to work with systems and not willpower or motivation. All right. So if you guys get this, go ahead and type out systems in the chat box. I'm just looking at the screen and I'm trying to figure out if everything's okay. Yep, everything seems to be fine. Go ahead. Type out systems and we shall move ahead. What we have coming up is the third secret. Secret number 3. Why is now the best time to invest in yourself and reduce your career risk level using epic transformations? The answer for this is quite simple. Right now, okay, you need to think about what is it that you need for the future, right? I say you need the ability to survive anything that comes up in you. You need anything that's going to help you survive in a world that is volatile, in a world that is uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, right? See, the thing is this, right now, the world that we're living in is broken for you. Otherwise, you would not be here. This thing that you see, right? This webinar, this session, the news that you read every day, what you hear from everybody else, what is that? That is nothing but, oh God, the world is gone to the dogs. We need something to do. That is your call to adventure. And every single day, we refuse that call. For one reason or the other, oh, I'm not ready. I don't think this is right for me. Blah, blah, blah. We come up with one reason or another just to go forth and, not do this. And as a result, we exist in this state where, something seems to be busted within us. Every time we refuse this call, we exist in this state where there is this lot of chaos within us. Right? And right now what's happening to you is you're meeting the mentor, you're meeting me, and I'm telling you that, hey, I have been where you are, right? And you know that there is something wrong. I know that there's something wrong, and I know how to fix it as well. And I'm giving you a map as well, right? There are other maps available, right? You can meet other mentors. There are other maps available. You can go ahead, but there is nothing like this, because this is the only kind of a system that's actually going to be helping you understand that if you delay any longer, if you keep on investing in improvement, you're the one who's shooting yourself in the foot. This is the only system that teaches you how and why improving or focusing on improvement is a bad thing. Instead, you have to focus on epic transformations. And if you look at the time where we are right now, the time is right. The way we know, right? Like going forward 2 months, 3 months down the line, you don't know how the future is going to be. Some of you might have even lost your jobs. Some of you must be wondering what on earth is happening, whatever the situation. The world is crazy. The world is broken right now. And you are in the absolute perfect position to go ahead and make that change. Look, it's quite simple, okay? At the heart of this entire epic transformation thing is the concept of the loot, right? And the road back. Once you defeat this big bad monster that you want to defeat, what happens is internally you'll see that you're changed as a person. Your identity has changed as a person. And then when you go back and apply it in the new normal, right? You realize that there will be a little bit of a challenge. I'm not denying that. But once you apply it, you will notice that you are suddenly in a much, much, much better place, right? Because you will now have that knowledge, the identity, the way to approach things, right? That's number one. You would have the step-by-step process on how to survive in an increasingly crazy future, right? How you can constantly be adapting. Because what you see on screen right now, this epic transformation map, is literally the very thing that's going to help you survive in the future, right? And like I said in the beginning, right, I want to liberate 1 million millennials from an unsatisfying career. And I want to give you all the tools, the knowledge, and the skill set that you need to reduce your career risk level and to skyrocket your job security, right? And the point is, now is the exact time when you need this, because the more you delay, the worse it becomes. The more competition you have, the more craziness that you have to deal with, the more complexity that you need to deal with. There are more changes happening in the world. And if you don't start now, things are just going to be getting more and more and more difficult. So in times of uncertainty like this, you need to do everything you can to reduce your risk level and boost your job security. And with epic transformations, you will always have the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set that you need to survive. Let me ask you a question, okay? Based on the 3 secrets that I've shared. If you already know what is your career risk level, right? If you already know that how bad that is and why you need to reduce it, right? And you know how to reduce it without relying on your willpower or motivation. And if you know that now is the best time to start and you have access to all the tools and systems to do so, can you be successful? Go ahead, type out a yes or a no. I want you to tell me one thing. Can you be successful? If you have all of this information, can you be successful? Go on. What do you think? Yes? No? Maybe? I do need somebody to answer before I can move forward. So go ahead and type it out. Can you be successful? Is that a yes or a no? Khalid says definitely. Great. What about the rest of you? Is that a yes or a no? Thank you, Jackal Silence. Absolutely helps. All right. The next question is, how are you feeling right now, right? Are you feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling excited? Because that's going to make a very, very big difference, because I've given you three secrets that can essentially help you eliminate your career risk. The first one was don't focus on improvement, but on epic transformations. Number two, don't rely on motivation, but go with systems. And number three, now is the best time to start. Aniket says yes. Okay, I'm guessing that's for this question. I wanted to ask you guys one thing. Let me ask you a question. Is it okay if I spend about 10 minutes going over a very special offer I created to help you implement everything that we've spoken about? This is an offer designed to essentially help you eliminate your career risk. Go ahead and give me a yes or a no in the chat box. Pramod, Siddharth, Indrajit, Honey, please do type out a yes in the chat box if you're ready to go. I'm going to be starting to share this. Trust me, guys, this is going to be absolutely worth it. Well, usually this is when people say yes. So I am going ahead. Ajit says yes. Pramod says yes. Great, great. The first thing I have created for you is this entire time I've been speaking to you about epic transformations, right? I've been telling you what you need to do. I've been telling you why you need to do it. And this time I'm going to be talking to you about how you can do this, right? It's a step-by-step process that you can take, you can follow to essentially implement everything that we've been speaking about for the past hour or so. I've made a 30 video course along with concept maps and an ebook. And inside this, you would actually find a number of different upgrades. You will find toolset upgrades, skill set upgrades, as well as mindset upgrades. Sometimes when life really throws a monkey wrench, like a car parked right outside your door and honking, you need to learn everything that you possibly can to go ahead and deal with everything that's happening. And that's exactly what you're going to be learning as a part of this. You're going to be getting over 40 videos, all recorded with me sitting in this same location, talking to you about, well, quite simply, what are the 30 different things that you can do to boost your actual job security and to reduce your career risk. It's perfect. And these are all different kinds of people who actually use the different tactics and techniques that I've spoken about in this course. Experienced professionals, fresh graduates, if you're starting a new job, new managers, returning mothers, and people considering entrepreneurship. Makes a lot of sense. And like I said, 40 videos that's going to be giving you a lot of powerful insights and upgrades. I know what you're thinking, that it's going to be expensive. And you're right. This thing is valued at over 45,000 rupees. And I'm not even joking. 30 epic career upgrades with over 40 videos, along with the concept maps, that's our mind maps that you can use as cheat sheets, as well as an ebook that gives you like a step-by-step instruction on what you need to do. All of that together for 45,000 rupees. Building on that, I've also created an accompanying spreadsheet template in Google Sheets, which you can use to essentially start implementing everything that you learn very, very quickly and easily. With this, you'll be able to essentially save time, avoid mistakes, and get everything right the first time so that you don't have to worry about any of this when you're going forth and doing this. And of course, You won't have to go through any of the heartache, any of the headaches that I faced when I was trying to go ahead and set up and implement these upgrades in my life. I literally had to pour through like so many different journals and ideas and my diaries before I could put all of these things together, right? And what I have realized is that, well, it's going to eliminate all of these challenges, and it's going to be giving you everything in one place. That's going to be valued at 2.5. That's going to be bringing up the total value at 47,500. Then I've also created a workbook that is designed to help you understand each exercise that's there in the Epic Career Upgrades video, the entire course, and it'll go in deeper and deeper, helping you understand what else it is that you need to do, right? Again, it's for, like, I don't want you to just do this once and then stop with it, right? Because somebody might need a little bit more help. Somebody might need a little bit more assistance. That's why this workbook is also there, so that you can squeeze out as much of value as possible from the course itself. Add that in, the total value of this bundle goes up to 51,000 rupees. Now remember how I said I'm horrible at sticking to habits? Well, here's how you do it. You know the concept of building systems? That's what this is all about, right? This is what you can do to understand how you can build the kind of habits that will help you and that will serve you in the long run, right? It's an ebook that goes up to over 40 pages. I think there are almost like 9,000 words on this. They all contain a lot of stories and experiences and things that you can use to go ahead and start building out your own systems, so that you can essentially start reducing your career risk on autopilot and boosting your job security. Throw that in, becomes 56,000 bucks. Now, I'm not going to stop right here, right? I know it's getting expensive, but do keep your eye on this slide, right? There's more to come. And this is not going to be enough, right? Sometimes you will need access to me. You will need to know that, hey, if I have a question with this particular thing, right? What do I do? For that, I have created Q&A sessions and an invite-only Discord server, right? So Discord is an online chat application. Think of it as a forum, like a chat box, or like Slack, if you will, right? You can always be a part of that, and you can join me in that for my fortnightly Q&As. I have the first one scheduled for this Wednesday that's coming up, where I'm going to be talking to people about presentation skills. So that's going to be a pretty valuable thing. And after that, we also have a thing on personal branding that's coming up. Again, that's only for members who are there as a part of the Discord community, right? And of course, anytime you have any questions about whatever we've been talking about, you will have access to this. And of course, throw that in, the value goes up to 59,000 rupees. But I didn't want to stop there. Because if you're going to be going, you might as well go the whole hog, right? Which is why I created 7 additional masterclasses. These were released as live streams for my early beta members of my community. And this is what they had to say about it. In those webinars, I share stuff for free, better than most people's paid stuff. And one of the people who actually attended, I believe he is there with us today as well. He says that he agrees, right? And well, that's how much value it is, right? We talk about stuff such as how do you handle office politics? How do you get noticed at work? How do you prepare for your appraisals? How do you, ensure very high levels of productivity? And this is not the kind of stuff that you can get by just doing a Google search or something. It's not that. It's some truly valuable stuff. And when you add all of this, it comes up to 75,000 rupees, right? Now that's definitely not cheap. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. It's not cheap. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be charging you 75,000 rupees, but I want you to think. Okay, what is 75,000 rupees worth to you, right? Now, tell me something. If you are getting a system for consistent, repeatable success, a system that reduces your career success, would it be worth it? What if I gave you this magic way of finishing everything that you ever started without relying on willpower? Would it be worth it? Or what if you had a way to essentially future proof your job, to say no to career risk, for you to have job security no matter what happens in the market? You will be able to have to respond to it in a way that you are completely safe, that you know how to respond, that you will not just sink like a rock in the ocean because you know how to survive. Would that be worth it? Speaking more tactically, if you were able to gain an extra a lakh in your next salary negotiation, would it be worth it? Now, I'm not saying you will get that. I'm saying if you had everything you needed just to get that kind of a result, would it be worth it? I had two choices, man. I'll be honest with you. I had two choices, right? I could go for quantity or I could go for quality. And I could have just smacked a couple of things together and sell it for really cheap. I didn't want to do that, right? I believe in quality, and that's exactly why I've been putting in so much of blood, sweat, and tears to make this. Now, tell me something. You obviously don't have to pay $75,000, but how much would you be willing to pay for something like this? To put things in context, my coaching clients, they pay me around $60,000 a month. My consulting clients, they pay me that much. How much would you be willing to pay for this? Go ahead and type it out in the chat. In fact, you know what? I'm curious to see what's going to happen. $75,000, right? But how much would you actually be willing to pay for something like this? We're almost there, guys. We're almost done. Go ahead, type out your number. I'm still waiting. Well, 5% of 75K. How much is that? I need to do a little bit of math. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be giving it to you for that cheap. I'm terribly sorry. The number that I do have in mind, though, is this. 5,499. And if you want to buy it, head to that URL. That's www. Oops, I'm just typing that out. That's the URL that I'm talking about. And whoops, what happened? Great, we should have that URL there. Right. Yes, I'm actually going to be giving it to you not at 5% like Pramod's asking for, but at 7%. Look, it's very, very simple for me, okay? There's a reason why I'm doing this. You have taken the time on this Saturday afternoon to go ahead and spend this much of time with me. You believed in me, you've given me this sort of a support, and I really, really want to give this to you at an offer price that is absolutely insane. Like I said, I could have gone high, but I chose to go with quality. And what I'm going to be doing, and I hope you can see this on screen as well, is that I am not going to be having this like forever, right? It's going to be valid for a short duration, and that duration is what you can see on screen right now, right? You'll have it until the end of this time, until this end of this 15 minutes, where you can go ahead and make a purchase of this particular thing. It is yours at a 93% off, and what you're going to be getting is, well, something that's all of this, something that's worth 75,000 rupees, but you're going to be getting it at, how much is this? At 5,499, right? All you have to do is quite simply go to this URL and you can go ahead and make that purchase. Until this timer runs out, I'm still going to be here, still going to be answering questions. So if you have any questions about this, I highly recommend that you go ahead and type it out in the chat box so that I can answer it for you. Right. In the meanwhile, I'm going to be giving you some more thoughts on why I think this is a great investment for you. One is you do know that you need to reduce your career risk, and you know that you need a system that's actually tried and tested. You need a system that does not focus on self-improvement, but more importantly on fixing that faulty foundation and giving you that change of identity. I've given you that step-by-step roadmap, right? And it's available for you at that particular URL, right? And I have also given you the why you need to do this. I've given you how you need to do this, right? I told you that you need to change. I've told you that you need to follow this Epic Transformations map as a structure for change, but you need to know what it is that you need to change, right? What are the skills that you need to pick up? What are the new tools that you need to learn? What are the new ways of thinking that you need to acquire? That's what's there on that screen right now, right? So if you go to that URL, you will be able to pick that up and go ahead with it. So that's number one. Next thing is, people usually ask me if this is a lifetime thing. I'm like, anybody who's promising you a lifetime thing is an absolute liar, simply because, especially when it comes to this kind of like courses and all that, I'm going to be supporting it for at least 2 years, right? I'm going to be giving you that guarantee. It's going to be there for about 2 years, or rather, it's going to be there until the next version of this course is released. What that means is, in this time, you will have access to all the upgrades that come up. You will have access to a special channel on Discord, think of it as a private chat room with just me and all the other paying customers. You will have access to that as well. You will have access to the Q&A sections as well, so that any doubts that you have, any questions that you have, you will be getting your answers for that as well. In the meanwhile, I want you to go ahead and type out your questions in the chat if you have any questions about this, and or if you have any reservations about this as to why you don't want to purchase this right now. I'm more than happy. In fact, I'm more interested in knowing why you wouldn't be buying something like this. So that's there. Another question that comes up is, will this be cheaper? The answer is no. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's not going to be cheaper, simply because, well, one, I put in a lot of effort into building this. That's number one. And number two, every single time I've been conducting this sort of a webinar, people have been coming in, and every single week when I've been doing this, the price has been going steadily up, right? So as this has been going up, you need to understand that, hey, it's important, right? Like, I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to be lowering the prices anyway, and in the future, it is going to be going up. Eventually, I believe I mentioned this in an earlier webinar as well, I will be capping the entire price at about 7,500 rupees, I think, right? Again, it's at 75,000 bucks. So even if I'm going to be selling it at, let's say, 50% off, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I really want you to get in on the deal before this timer runs out. So that's there. Another question that usually comes up is, what is there inside all of this? Well, that's what I had in the previous slide, but more specifically, I'm going to be teaching skills and tools. By tools, I mean like things that you can go ahead and start implementing immediately in your job. That's number one. I'm also going to be teaching you skill set upgrades. Skill set upgrades are things that you need to understand a little bit. You need to learn something before you can apply it, and I teach you that as well. And finally, you do have the mindset upgrades, which are a whole new way to think about this. Aniket's asking, do we discuss these upgrades in the program? Yes, these upgrades are going to be a part of the 30 Epic Career Upgrades course only. They're not available in any other coaching programs that I am conducting. How does the engagement work? It's going to be very simple. Once you go to that URL, you will need to purchase on this platform called Gixxy. And once you purchase, you will get access to these upgrades as a part of that course. It's a video course that's available on the Gixxy platform. And you can go ahead and do all the videos there. You can download the assets. You can download the workbooks. You can download the concept maps and the mind maps. You can read the PDFs there. All of that is possible over there. Another question that comes up is, do you give refunds? No, I don't give refunds. If you're not comfortable with that, I'm terribly sorry, but I can introduce you to others who have taken up this course that's there. One-on-one or in a group. This is a self-paced video course, Aniket. So that means that once you purchase this, you have to do this on your own pace. You will have access to this pretty much until the next version of the course comes up. So which is slated to be in about 2 years or so. And I must point out that the upgrades that you see here, right? They're going to be unique to this because they have a whole sort of how do I say this? They have a whole bunch of stuff that you're learning, which you can learn only here, right? But what you do have is you do have a community of others, right? There are other people on the Discord server who are doing these upgrades already, right? There are people who have started and they are already there, and you would be put into the same group as them, so you can interact with each other. I'm practically almost always online on Discord, so if you have any questions, I will be able to respond to it over there as well. And I will be conducting the fortnightly or monthly webinars as well, right? Which will be teaching you topics such as personal branding and of course, presentation skills and design skills, and how do you, do sales and marketing and stuff like that. So great. We are at the 8-minute mark. We have 8 minutes left. And if you still have any questions, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any and all of them. Apart from this, what other questions come up? Can I download all of these things? No. What you can do is you can definitely download the concept maps. They're more than easily available. But some of the other stuff, right? Like, for example, the Epic Career Secrets Masterclasses, right? That's not going to be available everywhere. That's going to be available only via certain links. That's number one. Other things include the access to the server, right? Only if you are a paying customer do you get access to that particular channel on the Discord server, where it's called the Council, by the way. And that's where we're going to be focusing on, right? Like the professional support is going to be coming in for the customers themselves. All right, guys, we have 7 minutes left as of now. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask about the product or anything else? Go ahead and type it out, and I'll be more than happy to answer these. Here's the thing, guys. Whatever you're going to be learning, right, as a part of the Epic Career Labs community and as a part of this course, each of these things are things that you can apply in pretty much any job that you're in, whether you're doing real estate, whether you're doing IT, whether you are an independent consultant, or if you are a content manager. It doesn't matter. You can go ahead and you can apply all of these learnings, right, in pretty much any place that you go for. Right? It could be in any job. I've applied this, like I said, I've applied this in advertising. I've applied this in marketing. I've applied this in sales. I've applied this in management. I've applied this in facilitation. I've applied this in training. All of these places, right? And it's not a problem at all, because whatever, whoopsie. Sorry about that. Whatever you're applying this in, right? So that can, you can definitely go ahead and apply it anywhere that you choose. I am terribly sorry about the mail pop-up. It happens when you're clicking around. So yeah, it does happen. Look, I get this, right? I get this. I know you are feeling apprehensive. You might be wondering, yeah, I did learn this, but is that enough? Well, think about this. What is the amount of risk? What is the amount of risk that you're willing to put up with? How much are you willing to bet that what you're doing is something that's definitely going to work? Are you going to be looking at, saying that, you know what, yes, I'm willing to risk it, then yeah, by all means, right, like go ahead. But if you want a proven way of going forth and making sure that you can get these sort of repeatable results, you can get these sort of systems that you need to make sure that, every single time that you go ahead, that yes, I know how to do this. I know why I'm supposed to be doing. I know how I'm supposed to be approaching this, and I know exactly what I want to do. If you want that kind of clarity, that kind of guidance, then you definitely need to know these kind of upgrades. Because see, the concept of Epic Transformations is there for free on my website, right? epiccareerlabs.com. If you go there and you go to the /start page, right, you can learn about the Epic Transformations in detail. That's not the main thing. That is something that I want every single person on the planet to know. But what I really, really want is, from a career perspective, what are the exact things that you need to do? What are the exact results that you need to get? And how do you go about getting them? That's what's there in this course, right? Like, let's say something to do with how do you prepare for your appraisal, right? Different kind of a question. There are 5 or 6 different ways. You go on the internet, they're going to be giving you 17 different ways of doing this. But and trust me, because I've done my research on this. When I go on YouTube, when I go on Udemy, when I go on Skillshare, when I go in all of these places, right? They are selling you stuff that's not actually worth it, right? This is stuff that you can find by a simple Google, right? But no one's actually telling you that, hey, this is what I did, this is why it worked, and this is why I think you should be doing it as well. Now, here's the thing. Everything that's going to be coming up in this video course is from my own experience, right? I have done and dusted these things, and every single thing that I'm talking about in every single video is, quite simply put, it all follows the same structure, right? I talk about the struggle that you'll have, the underlying challenge as to what is causing you to face that struggle, what is the answer for that particular challenge, and as a result, what is it that you get? And finally, every single video also has a set of instructions that you need to do as a part of your turn, right? When you want to implement this. I call this the SCARY technique, SCARY, struggle, challenge, answer, result, and your turn. And every single video is structured like this so that you will understand exactly how to go ahead and implement each one of these. All right, we have about 2 minutes remaining. If you have any questions, do let me know. After this timer hits a 0, I will be ending the live stream. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead and type it out in the chat box. I will be more than happy to answer them. Wow, time really, really flies when you're having fun. All right, I just want to go back and look at some of the comments that are still there. I say, hey Ajit and Indrajit, I hope you guys are still here. Go ahead, just make sure that you buy it. I mean, they're like what, a minute and a half, 90 seconds remaining. Siddhartha is there. All right, that's good. Jack All Silence, Aniket, Khalid, Honey Singh. Sorry, it's not Honey Singh, is it? My bad. Natrajan is there as well. Honey Girdhar. So go ahead, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead, type it out, or, well, I've always been wanting to say this. I'm just going to wait for about 10 seconds, and then I'm going to be saying it because, no, I do not have this on recording. This is a one-time only thing. Swaraj S, I'm guessing that's Sham. If you don't buy it now, next week the price is going to be going up again, and it's going to be gone in 60 seconds. One of my favorite movies starring Nicolas Cage. That's definitely going to be... yeah, I'm sorry, Swaraj. I've sent multiple this thing. So guys, this is something that will happen, right? You will have an opportunity and you'll miss it. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get it at the earliest possible juncture, because sometimes if you miss the boat, you're not going to be getting a second chance. Well, at least not in the same way. So you're getting a gateway timeout error, Pramod. That's disheartening. Let me check out what's happening. I'll keep the gate open for about 5 more minutes for you. This thing, Pramod. Don't worry. Do me a favor, Pramod. This is my number, or you have my email address as well. I will try to figure out what is the problem, and I'll get this solved. Where exactly are you facing this error, friend? And look at that. Our time is up. Well, in that way, thank you very much for attending. Pramod, I will be helping you out. If you can give me your phone number at this email address, I will definitely help you figure out what exactly seems to be the problem. But apart from this, thank you very much for attending this session, and let's see what happens. All right. Till we meet again next week. Again, I'm going to probably leave this cart open for about a. I'm terribly sorry that you're facing the challenge, Pramod. I'm going to leave this this cart open for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll see what happens. Pramod, if you can please share your phone number in that email address, I will call you up and I will help you make that purchase. All right. With that, I want to wish everybody a very happy Saturday afternoon, and well, good luck. This is Arvind saying over and out.